Hello, my friend. In this video, I'm going to reveal to you the secret of content marketing for artists. And although we'll mostly be talking about music artists, because that's what I am and usually what I talk about on this channel, this can definitely 100% apply to absolutely any artist that's creating anything creative or artistic. So let me know if this sounds familiar at all, or if this has ever happened to you. You ever been creating content and it seems to be kind of going well, and then all of a sudden you realize that a half an hour in, the camera wasn't filming or your computer shut off and you've completely wasted a half an hour of work and you need to completely redo everything. So this actually happened to me yesterday when I was filming one of these videos. I spent a full half an hour filming something, and then my video filming software stopped and didn't just cut off at that point, it completely deleted what I was doing. It was extremely frustrating. I really had to push myself to do it again, and honestly, it was one of those moments where I really reveled in the fact of how much creating content can suck for an artist. You never want to be doing these kind of things, creating content. You'd rather be doing the fun thing of actually doing the creative work and artistic work, and the idea of creating content always sucks, especially when something like this happens. But really the funny thing is, when I pushed myself to get through this and do it again, I honestly felt really great once the work was actually done. And then I felt even better when I started getting positive comments from my audience about the work that I really toiled over to create. And that really is the secret here, because whether you're creating music or art or helpful video tutorials on something, when you commit to showing up for your audience, it is always truly fulfilling as a creative. Because the secret to content marketing for artists is to create for an audience. And although that may sound like a duh kind of statement, the truth is that I think a lot of artists and a lot of creatives are creating content for vanity metrics, things like likes and views and comments and that kind of stuff. And really, when you are making content for that main purpose, you're really only making content for yourself. You're making content to have that self-validation and that feeling that you're on the right track. And the problem with this is there's always a higher amount of likes to get, a higher amount of comments to get. And by doing this, you're really chasing the ghost, and you're never going to truly be fulfilled, because there's always a higher amount of likes to get, and there's always an artist that's doing better than you with a higher amount of likes that you'd like to achieve, and you never get that sense of fulfillment as you would when you're creating very, very dedicatedly to an audience and building content and creating content with an audience first perspective. And it's at this point that I really want to take a moment to really clarify by what I mean by the word content, because I think a lot of people consider content something like social media posts, YouTube videos, those kinds of things. But I genuinely believe that your music and your art is actually content as well. Because the fact is, once you put your music out into the world, it no longer becomes your personal art, and it does become content. So I think a lot of people might get a little bit up in arms about this. So let's dive into what music content really means. And I think the first step in defining what music content means is to actually define what content generally means. And essentially, content is anything that is valuable for an audience that they can consume. Something that's entertaining, educational, but also builds your brand. So when you think about it from this perspective, your music or your art is 100% something that someone can consume and is entertaining at the very least when you put it out there into the world. So there's music as content, and then there's also things that are music related. So your performances are definitely content. Any videos where you're talking about your music is also content, but the music itself is also content because it can be consumed. Which nicely ties us into a debate that I kind of see going on the internet, which is content creators versus artists and what the difference is between the two. So my take on this is that true artists do not share their work, while content creators do share their work. So that may be a bit of a loaded statement, so let's unpack this a little bit. So I believe that if you want to be a true top of the elite artists, the most elite top artist there is, you will never ever share your art, because that is something incredibly personal to you, and it does not deserve anybody else to see this. You're an artist for the sake of being an artist and nothing else, so there is no reason for you to share your art with anybody else. That is the definition of a true artist to me. However, the moment that an artist chooses to share their art with others, particularly in a public forum like the internet, they are no longer just an artist, but they are also a content creator. Because it's at that moment when an artist chooses to share their work of art with other people, it allows other people to consume that content and get some enjoyment out of themselves, whether it's entertaining or valuable in some other way. And that again is when that art becomes content. And although artists that do not choose to share their art are artists that are more truer to the definition of the word, I truly believe that artists that commit to sharing their art to an audience so that it can be consumed actually have a greater potential to fully realize themselves themselves as an artist. And the reason for this is that the more that you commit to sharing your art, the more that you will start building an audience for your art. And the more that you build an audience for your art, the more feedback you're going to get on your art. The more feedback that you get on your art, the more you can actually take this into consideration to improve your art. And then the more that you improve your art and continue this feedback cycle between yourself and your audience, the more that you actually serve this audience. And the more you're serving this audience, it can actually lead to things like your audience wanting to directly support you through financial means, where you can end up actually having a livelihood from creating your art. And once you get to that point where you can live off your art and art related things, then it opens up a lot more free time, so you have more time to work on your art. You can put more art into the world, and the feedback loop goes even more intensely. So right now, there are two things that I want to do. First is I want to give 100% permission to any artist out there that only wants to be an artist. Stop sharing your work. Stop being a content creator and just be an artist for the sake of being an artist. It's completely okay. And two, for the artists that really want to make a difference and become the truest artists that they can actually be, I give you permission to keep pushing through whenever you're creating content by thinking about your audience and doing it for them, no matter how tough it gets. Because the more you're of service to your audience and the more you create for your audience, the more your audience will grow and the further you'll get in your music career and your artistic career. So if you are a music artist and you want to be more effective in pushing your content out to your audience so that it can grow and your music can get better and better, I do have a free 7-step release checklist that you can check out in the description below. This is the checklist that I follow every single time that I release music. It's what I follow to get over 5 million streams on Spotify, and it's what I continue to follow this day to just streamline the music promotion process and copy and paste it as much as possible so that I could actually focus more time on creating art and creating and being of service for my audience. If you want to check that out, it's in the link in the description below. But other than that, I hope you found this video useful. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you would like to. And good luck on your next release. I will see you in the next video, my friend. Have a good one.